Hello, everyone. Welcome to another great Monday. Thank God it stopped raining here. But I am here today and I'm getting ready to talk to Danessa Myricks, who I am excited to talk to because I haven't talked to Danessa in forever. So, yeah, that's what we're doing today. And she is already in the room and on time. I'm going to bring her right on.
Hey, hey.
Hey, Danessa, how are you?
I am great. How are you? Oh
I
my
am
God,
fine.
this face.
Well, I know that you are probably live and zoomed and conference called out, aren't you?
It's okay. This is the one I've been waiting for all day. The most important one.
How are you, my love? Well, first of all, I'm so proud of you.
Thank
Um,
you.
Congratulations on everything. Um, I know Danessa from the hair show. I met her in the hair show world, doing hair shows 100 years ago. And
Yes.
then one day, it was like one day Nessa wasn't there no more. And I was like, where did Nessa go? And the next thing I know, Nessa is over the world, all over the world and everywhere else.
Well, I got my start where it really matters, right there in Atlanta at the Bronner Brothers show. I mean, those are the people who showed me love from the very, very beginning and made it all possible.
So let me get the heavy stuff out the way first.
Okay.
One, so let's start with Corona. So has that affected you? How's that like how is that for you?
How has it not affected me is like the bigger question. It was crazy. We're here in New York, and New York obviously was the place that was hit really, really hard.
Mm-hmm.
I caught the virus. My partner caught the virus. Every day, somebody I know was calling saying someone died or someone's in the hospital, and like literally, it was like every day someone dying. It was horrific. So I'm glad that we've gotten through that phase of those phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
I don't wish corona on anyone. So if anyone is like not taking precautions, it is that thing. Like there are some people who get it and it's like they have a cold, and there are other people you will feel like you're dying every day.
How was your symptoms? Was it?
I felt like I was dying every day. Like you can't breathe. You have like all of these like lucid nightmares, like terrors, like you hallucinate. It was horrific. It's like taking a flu and magnifying it by 1,000.
Oh
And
my!
then,
Well, I'm so glad. I'm so
yeah.
glad you were able to get through that.
Oh my goodness. Thank goodness for people like Gaucher who sent help from me all the way from Atlanta because I'm by myself in the house,
Mm-hmm.
and like Susan and Kamal from Total Media Group who like bought me food, left it outside the door, teas, like medicines. But yeah, it was a crazy time, but we got through it and
Well,
all
I'm
is
glad
well.
you got through it. So I mean,
Yes.
so that was a crazy time within itself, and then now we're in this Black Lives Matters movement
Yes.
and all that kind of stuff. So how is that going with you?
Well, it's a long time coming,
Mm-hmm.
and I've just been like making myself available to, for roundtables and discussions about this issue in the beauty industry. Doing as much as I can to raise funds. Like we did a whole drive over the weekend. I had a course that I put 100% of the proceeds to go to Black Lives Matter and the NAACP. So I think over the weekend we collected $10,000 and last week we did another fundraiser. I'm not sure how much we generated yet. I'm going to find out, but just trying to do like whatever I can just to amplify melanated voices and
Mm-hmm.
to, with our dollars, like participate in, activism in a way that we all can get involved, like donations, you know what I mean? As small as it may be.
Oh, well, once again, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, Danessa,
Yes.
did you know that Danessa Meyers is going to be Danessa Meyers? Did you know that? Did you have that vision in your head?
Absolutely not. Danessa Myricks was just trying to like feed her two children, stay alive, and be relevant in the beauty industry. And I think like any of us, it starts out like you're kind of doing what you need to do in something that you enjoy, and then it just kind of grows from there. I think prior to me doing makeup, I wasn't really in a space where I felt fulfilled or I can really contribute. I was doing good work, but it wasn't something I was passionate about. And I think, once I found my passion, which was twofold, it was doing makeup and teaching makeup, everything else started to evolve from there.
Mm-hmm.
So didn't know in the beginning, but now I'm like legacy building. I'm trying to like change the course of history for my family now, a little bit at a time.
But now you are doing it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
What I appreciate about you so much is that you went a different route from makeup, from what I see, is that you weren't out there trying to bust down doing celebrities. You wasn't out there trying to, like, that wasn't your zhuzh. And you're really are a makeup artist. It's like makeup artists know who you are. And they respect every level of what you do.
Thank you.
And you're creative, you're fashionable. Like I tell Janelle this all. I said, Janelle, you're
my
not.
love.
I know. I told Janelle. I said, Janelle, you're not an ordinary hairstylist.
No,
you are a hairstylist.
Special, yes.
Hairstylist. Like your work is meant to be seen by other hairstylists.
Yes.
And for them to create and that's the kind of work that you do. Do you strategically plan that to be that way, or just kind of just how it happened?
No, because I was terrible in the beginning. I was just trying to do my very best. You know what I mean? I definitely did not consider myself to be that person. Mm-hmm. But I think it just happens naturally when you're doing something that you are meant to be doing, something that makes you feel good, that you feel passionate about. It just kind of happens. You know what I mean? I think it didn't happen until I found my niche in makeup. Because when I first started, I was really just trying to like duplicate other people, like the Sam Fines of the world, the Derek Rutledges of the world, like all of these people who had amazing reputations in makeup through the hair industry, because that's how I was introduced to it. So I really didn't have like my own personal aesthetic. But I think once I found who I was as an artist, that's when it really all started to evolve, you know.
And what is your aesthetic?
It's been changing, you know. It just changes. I think now I'm very much into beautiful glowing skin. I love like amplifying the skin and using bold colors. I create makeup as well, so the two together, like, it's fascinating for me to like think of something in my mind that doesn't exist, create it, and then create with it, if that makes sense. So I'm actually just having fun with myself, and I'm just happy that other people enjoy it too.
You know, I mean, I can sit here and gush over you all day, because I really, like, it amazes me, Danessa, to see you on stage teaching makeup, and you have a fucking translator next to you. So it's like, she is talking about makeup to people that don't even understand what the hell she's talking about. Like,
it's the craziest thing. I think, you know, I sometimes I think that as beauty creators, as just creative people in the beauty industry, we really don't realize like how much we impact the world. And it changed just me as a person, just understanding like everything that we hear politically and we see on the news or whatever, what the real people are in those areas, they have a totally different perspective. I think the first invitation I got was to Vladivostok, Russia, which is 8 hours outside of Moscow, which no one even knows where Vladivostok is. No. And to go there, and people were celebrating me, knew everything about me, knew everything about my family, and don't speak English. It's like, it's kind of crazy. And while I was there, they spent all of their time trying to say, we love you. We love, like, don't listen to the news. Like, don't listen to Trump. Don't listen to, you know, we're here in Russia and we love Americans and we love Black people. It was just, it's just crazy. You don't know how you're impacting the world, whether you use your words or not. Like, through our artistry, you know, it speaks volumes to people all over the world. And it was just the craziest thing for me. It's like, I always get a rush because I don't understand how it happens, but it does. You know, we're very powerful as creators in this industry. And I think if we all just take hold of that and just really understand what our power is in that space, we can do so much, you know, on a global scale to like make the world a better place. And I know that sounds very like,
I mean, but that's what we all just trying to do. Yeah.
The way we connect with people, like even outside of our areas, it's an incredible thing. That's why I love social media so much. Because before, so it wasn't until I really started paying attention to my Instagram that everything kind of took off, because that's when people started to see me outside of like Atlanta and New York, where I was physically doing makeup, and it really changed everything.
Mhm. Now, I want to talk to you from a businesswoman's perspective.
Yeah.
And so you're doing makeup, and there's hundreds of thousands of lip glosses, there's hundreds of thousands of foundations, and there's hundreds of thousands. So what made you say, I'm gonna do my own?
Well, yeah. Well, as an artist, there's always, how can I say it? I'm sure you've had this experience in doing hair. It's like, it's like, I wish there was a needle that did this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I wish there was a wig cap that did this so that I could do this. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty much out of that. Like I was looking for textures that I couldn't find. There were things that in my mind I wanted to create, but I couldn't find the products that would do it. And I was just like, I want this. Like, this is something that I want for my own personal artistry. And so I created. So for me and my brand, I am not about duplicating. I'm really about filling in empty spaces, things that are missing. So everything in my collection is really very specific and very unique. Like, we don't have like lipsticks, lip gloss. It's really not like that at all. It's a very eclectic space, our brand. So most of the products are multifunctional. They do lots of things, and the textures are really creative and different.
Now, were you nervous launching this?
Well, interestingly enough, I started with like one product. I don't know if you can remember way back. Like, I started from like glitter.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Just putting glitter in pots, and I had a cream base to go with it. And then it was just like one thing at a time. So yes, you're nervous, but like when you start small with one thing, it's kind of like you don't even think about it. In the Bronner Brothers days, I had the glue. I think the lock-on lash glue was the first thing that I launched. So yes, you're nervous because you're always wondering if somebody is going to see your product the way you see it, if they're going to be interested. When somebody pays you that first $1, that's when you get excited and you get stimulated. But I think people really respond to products that are connected to a real person who they can relate to and who can really tell the story of why the product exists. So it's different if you just kind of show up and you have the same stuff that the next booth has and the next booth has, and there's no story behind it. There's no reason why. And I think people have followed my journey from the very beginning and like understood my reason why and why I created certain things. And I think for these past, we started in 2004, and throughout these years, the same people who were my tribe from the very beginning is still riding with me right now, which is cool. So it's like it wasn't like nothing and then everything. It was just like baby steps, a little bit at a time. Yeah.
Now, so you create the products that are missing in the. Basically, you create the stuff that you're looking for.
Basically, yeah. Yeah. Because if you're feeling it, if you're looking for it, there's bound to be someone else who's been looking for that same exact thing, and I know you've had that same experience too.
I just haven't been brave enough to make it. I saw Susan is on here talking to Susan. Susan been on my case forever. Like, you need to do something. What do you want? And I just haven't gotten to my mindset to even figure it out.
I'm sure you have like a plethora of ideas.
Of things I think should, but that's why I asked about the doubt part of it, because when you're like, I know this should be going on, but somebody else probably thinking about this, or somebody else probably thinking about that. So, for you, did that even come into your head? You just was like, I'm gonna do me, and I just figure it out later.
Well, no, I was scared the whole time. Don't get me wrong, but what really was a driver for me is that I was doing it for other people. So what most people don't know is that I did development for lots of brands. Lots of drugstore brands and prestige brands. And once you're doing it for someone else and you're working that hard, and then you're seeing what's happening to them as a brand, like they're a $2 billion company, or they're like the #1 in the industry, and you knew it came from your efforts, but you don't benefit from it like financially, then you're like, okay, well, if I can do it for them, I know I can do it for myself. Like, I know you represent a lot of brands. And the amount of expertise that you give them on a daily basis, like most people who start businesses who see gaps aren't physically in it. So they just see an opportunity, and then they search out people who could help bring that vision to life. And you're one of those people. So the same thing that they're doing, you could be doing yourself. because you are really giving them all the information. And once you realize you're doing that over and over again, it's like, okay, I'm going to try this for me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you need to get started with something. This is all leading up to when is Derek J's ex.
Right, yeah. Well, like I said, I see Susan's on here, Kamala's on here, so they already. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get a phone call after this.
Absolutely. But when I think about even the people around me, like you know, Goshay, she's there in Atlanta. Like that is like my heart. And like when I see what happened when she's so multi-talented, she could do a billion things. But when she followed like where her heart was really at, like the success that she's having is like incredible. It's just like finding that thing that no matter what, you want to get up every day and push and work for it. And sometimes it just takes time to find that thing that you give everything up for. You'll do whatever for. But once you find it, it's kind of easy to keep building from there because there's nothing else you'd rather be doing, if that makes sense. So it's really about just doing as much as you can do until you find that thing. And once you find that thing, just not taking your foot off the gas, you know?
Now, when I see your pictures and stuff you post on Instagram, you go for a very avant-garde approach to makeup. So I think that you really have no bars, you have no limitations on what and where you take things to. So like from a creative level, where does that come from? Like, do you just be like, you're gonna be wet today, or I'm gonna make you go?
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of just do what I feel. You know what I mean? It doesn't come from anywhere. Just like in my mind, like I wonder if, or I'd love to create something that looks like this. It's like, I don't know. It's just inside of you. It's like saying, how do you come up with your hairstyles? You just do it. You just feel it. Like sometimes I'm on set with Janelle, and I'm just like, I want something that looks like a frame, and she's like, and then I turn around and it's like she just built like a universe on someone's head. Like I don't know where it came from, but when you're a creative person, like it's all there, you know. It's all there. It's just allowing it to come out. And I think for a lot of us, we don't express those ideas because they're so different than what everyone is seeing. And it's always in the beginning. I remember when I started posting and I was doing all this glowy stuff, people were like, oh my God, where are those people going? Who's walking around looking like that? Da, 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 da. But it didn't matter to me. It's just what I wanted to do. But that's the thing that got me to travel all over the world to all these different countries because it was something that was different. You know what I mean? And they knew it was coming from a passionate place. So I think a lot of us have a lot of things that we want to do, and maybe we're trepidatious about it. Like we're like, oh, what are people going to think, or who's going to wear that, or whatever. But that's always the thing that you should be doing. It's always that thing that's going to change things for you.
But that's the scary thing. That's the scary part of it too. It's like you pushing the envelope, but then also but a lot of us, like I say, is not ready for the change yet. Like, we say that we really want it, but we don't really want it, So right. when you was reaching out saying, this is what I want, were you ready for everything that came back when it started coming to you?
No, because honestly, I didn't expect it. I was just at a point, and I think, I started in beauty late in life. I didn't start doing makeup till I was 30. I'm going to be 50 this year. So when you're my age, you stop caring about a whole lot of stuff. And you start thinking about what you're leaving behind. And I think for me, it was like, whose life am I living? Like I'm halfway through my life. Hopefully I still got 50 more years to go, but who am I living for? Like, why am I waking up every day? Like when you get to a point where you're like, none of that other stuff matters anymore. And it takes, different people get there at different points. I know people who were born with that in their mind. They're like, from the beginning, I'm gonna do what I want to do. My son is like that. He's like, I'm just gonna do whatever the heck I want to do. He starts a new business every couple of days, and I'm not mad at him. I'm just like, okay. Follow it. One of these are gonna work. You know what I mean? So we just get there at different times. But sometimes we have a lot of voices around us that are telling us not to do it or it's not possible. So once you get to a point where you're just listening to yourself and listening to your heart, that's when everything just starts to change. Yeah.
Now, so you were one of the first. I mean, I'm sure other makeup artists did it, but I think that you're one of the first makeup artists for me that I saw really put it out there when you started taking up the photography route of things. And then next thing you know, it's like, well, I saw you doing it. Next thing I know, every makeup artist is a photographer now. So what did you find did you see that stuff wasn't being captured the way you wanted to capture it, or were you just tired of waiting on people?
Well, it was a combination of all of those things. You know, photographers cost a lot of money, and then, you know, photographers are creatives also, so they have their own vision, they have their own style, and finding a synergy between artists in that way is really hard. It's like when you find that click, you know, you stick with it, because it's really hard to find people who have that exact vision that you have. You know, and I had the great pleasure of having photographers in my life who were very supportive of my journey and who like played with me. Like Eric Von Lockhart was one of those. He was just like, you know, whatever you want to do, let's try it, which was great. But then there was a time, you know, Eric is a very famous photographer. He gets paid a lot of money. And so his time wasn't, you know, available, in my finances, you know, couldn't support it. And so I wanted to be constantly creating. So I just bought a camera and just started practicing. Like, honestly, there's very little I can tell you about the camera. I just know what I do. You know, I had a camera for years and never used it because I was so scared. And now, you know, out of sheer desperation, I just started to use it because I'm like, I need photos. I need to get my work out there. And you learn as you go. It's like you with weaving or wig making. It's like the first one is never the one that, you know, you want to show the whole world, but the more you do it, you know, in practice, the better that you get. So I think just for me, just out of just doing it all the time, I just learned. And then I learned how to do it in a style that complements my makeup, if that makes sense. So I think for me, it's like, you know, I had a brand. I wanted to show people how my products work. I wanted to like create new content on a daily basis, and who could like book a photographer every day of their life? You know what I mean? Right. No one. So it was out of necessity, and then from there it actually turned into a love. Like now sometimes I'm like, what do I like more, photography or makeup? Like they're both very equal for me. And I think just being able to have a vision in my mind about how I want a model to look and being able to marry those worlds together is exciting for me. Like photography made me love makeup more, if that makes sense.
No, it does.
Kind of just rejuvenated me. And I just have fun with it.
So, you know, Autumn McKinney.
Oh my God, that's my boo. Yeah. I love her so much.
Yeah, I love you some Autumn. You know, so Autumn, like I said, that picture I posted, I was like FaceTime her, like, okay, I have this stuff and I know nothing of this stuff. Okay. And I need help. So, you know, she worked me through it, but how does it make you feel to have so many artists that's so invested in your brand?
I mean, there's no words for it. Like, I pinch myself every day. I just feel so incredibly blessed. It's like, how does it feel to know that you have a tribe of people who just support you and ride with you? There's really no words for it. I just feel incredibly blessed, and I'm grateful, you know, for everyone who just kind of believes in the journey that I'm on. It's an amazing feeling, and it just makes me want to like give more. I'm like, how can I give more to, you know, these amazing people who are like pouring into me? So that's really the space I work at. Like every day I wake up, okay, what more can I do? How much more can I give? Because I just feel so full just from all of it, to be honest. Yeah.
Now, in the midst of you building, because how old your daughter? I mean, both your kids are grown now. But but when you started, how old were they when you started?
When I started doing makeup, my son was 7 and my daughter was just born. So
okay,
yeah.
So as a woman, as a Black woman, you know, trying to build a business, trying to restarting her career, and then trying to raise 2 kids, how was that process? Did you feel defeated? Did you feel like you couldn't work? Like, what was that process for you?
It was hard. It's a lot of nights crying. It's hard. I can't say anything else. It was hard, but it's worth it. You know, because that's why I think it's important to understand like what the reason why is. Because if you're doing something just to do it to make money, that's never enough reason for all the sacrifice and all of the stuff, right? But it's the why connected to it, it just makes it all easier. I mean, there were so many times I had to be away from my kids. Important times too. I remember asking my daughter, okay, I can only do one. I can go to your graduation or be there for your prom. It's like, those are like really hard conversations to have with your kids. But when I think about the reason why and what I was trying to create for them, you know, it makes it all worth it. And now as they're older, they understand it and they want it for themselves too. Like both of my children are entrepreneurially spirited. They work, but not with the intention of working for anybody for long periods of time. They're doing it to create money right now, but they have bigger visions afterwards because, you know, they had me to look to. You know, I know for me, I had my father who was a different type of entrepreneur. My father was from Georgia and he didn't ever go to school. He was able to raise all of us 9 kids, buy us a home. He had his own business, cleaning houses and offices. He did all of that with no education at all, with his children teaching him how to read. Like when I see an example like that, him saving $25 religiously every week, like that's what I saw. So he kind of taught me possibility. So if he was able to do that and created this opportunity for me to do it in a much bigger way, like I have to keep moving it forward, if that makes sense. So for me, it's a responsibility just to change the work that went into him as a father and what my mother did during that. Like the sacrifice that they made is nothing. Like there's no comparison to what I'm doing on a daily basis. It's just no comparison. So it's just a responsibility, I feel, and to have been given that opportunity with education, with, you know, my mother always just allowing us to be creative and be who we were, you know, that just set the stage for who I am today. And so it's my responsibility as a parent to foster that same thing in my kids and then show them what's possible. You know what I mean? So for me, it's changing the legacy of my family, just rewriting history. And if I do it, then other people will see it's possible for them, and so on and so on. I mean, we all have people to look through in history, if not in our family, just in history that inspire us to do more. So I just always wanted to be one of those people. I just wanted to teach through my example.
Now, this next question is a personal question, but I like to ask this question because we have a lot of women that we have a lot of women followers between the both of us.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of women that want to do more, but they have that guilt of not being able to be there for their child. So my question for you is, how did you work through those times that you did feel guilty as a mother? You wasn't doing as much you could as a mother.
I think the biggest thing is communication. Like a lot of times we hold on to this guilt without having conversations with our kids. And I think just they're not going to understand if you don't explain it to them. You got to tell them the reason why. And I think, you know, I had a real open dialogue with both of my children. And so they understood the reason why. And sometimes they'll be like, oh, no, take that job. Go there because I want to know what it looks like in Japan. They were inspired by me doing these things. So I did feel a lot of guilt initially. But, you know, because we talk about it, you know, no one held on to anything. And if there was ever a scenario where they were like, no, I need you here right now, then I did it. You know what I mean? But I think communication, having open communication is a big part of it. And they will understand. Our kids are way smarter than we think they are. Yeah. For sure.
Now, a lot of makeup artists, well, not even makeup artists, a lot of creatives in general that go on a path of entrepreneurship, they don't really understand the business side of things. And for you, were you figuring this out on your own, or did you have somebody helping you did you have an agent or a manager, or were you just grinding it out?
I wish I failed forward. Like my entire journey was failing forward. There was, you know, there were no mentors in the time. Like 20 years ago, you couldn't even go and learn makeup from someone. It just really wasn't like it is right now. So you kind of just had to figure things out. And honestly, I'm kind of glad that there weren't like people telling me what to do, because I think my path would have been very different, because I would have done what they told me to do, not what I felt in my heart, you know, or what I felt just through my intuition. You know what I mean? So, yeah. There was no help. You know, financial, like my brand, we have no investors. It was really like make $500, save $100. You know what I mean? It was like you made $100. Okay, put 50 to the side to do the next thing. It was like literally an inchworm, little by little. There was no overnight success here. It was like made a big mistake, did something horrible, okay, learn from it and move on, you know?
So and I think that's the part that people fail to realize. They think that we all just popped up out the blue. They was like, oh, this new lady Danessa, have you seen her before? You like, first of all, I ain't new. I've been here for a very long time, but they don't see the trials and tribulations that come along with it. And you know, and I would say, for me, now I do remember you starting out with the glitter, but see, like for me, like because you was in and out doing what you were doing, but it was like we saw the glitter. The next you know, you have a whole situation, but it didn't work that. It didn't work that fast.
You're so funny. You know, it's really interesting, and I think our generation has a very different experience than people now, because now the opportunity is very different. Like when we started, there was no social media. Everything happened based on your relationships, and you get in your car, driving hours this direction and that direction. That, you know, it was very hard, grueling work to like be known as an artist, whether it be hair or makeup. Now you just open your phone, take a picture, and people start liking it from all over the world. So I feel like now there's really zero excuse, because you literally can just show yourself on social, do it consistently, and have a tremendous amount of success right now. So the opportunity is very different right now than it was 20 years ago, even 10 years ago. So it is very hard. Even like with influencers right now, have you ever, like, I have yet been able to take a selfie that I like. So I give a lot of credit to anybody who's built like a huge following, just doing makeup on their own face or taking pictures of themselves. That's a lot of hard work, because I took a whole day trying to take a selfie and could not do it. With all my equipment, with all, like, that is an art, that is a gift. And anybody who is able to, you know, have the confidence to do that on social and build a brand, more power to them. Like, it's not easy. So whatever it is, even though there's more opportunity now, it's all still work. No matter what. It's work, it's consistent work. That's really what it is.
Now, because we are from a different, you know, era of work, because to me, I still can't get into Instagram like I supposed to. But like, what clicked in you? You was like, hey, I need to figure this out. Like, and I need to figure out this for my brand.
Yeah, I mean, because I was literally just like posting food and my kids in the backyard when I first, like, I was so disconnected. I was like, oh, that's not for me. That's for the young kids. It's not for me. But then when you realize that there are people who are just starting and like doing all the things that you wanted to do because they use that tool, you use it. It's like, you know, 20 years ago, if you didn't have a book or a com card, no, you're not getting work. So Instagram now is the new book, the new com card, but it just has much longer legs. So when you realize just from a business perspective, it is the one place where all marketing in the beauty industry is being done. Like 90% of all beauty conversations happen on Instagram. Period. It's where it's happening. It's where every brand has shifted. So it's almost like ignoring your advertising period. Like, it's where everyone should be if they want to be seen, if they want to market. So it's like you either get on it or not, but like, it's like a must. It's not like this fantasy thing. Like, I enjoy doing it. I'm a voyeur. It's like, no, this is branding for you, your own brand, or your company. It's a necessity. And once you realize that from a business perspective, you like focus on, you know, how can I do this in the best way possible?
Yeah, because when you start realizing, which has happened to me, when you start realizing when all the hard work that you put in as an artist, and you know, because when we were coming up, we were so big on our name and the work we had to put out there, and then you know when somebody be like, yeah, that's Derek Jim. How many followers you got?
Oh, yeah, okay, I mean, a lot of people start the conversation that way. Absolutely. And it's not necessarily based on talent. Unfortunately, it's like, you know, a lot of times people don't know that that talent is there or know that people appreciate it because they don't see the conversation happening. They don't see people engaging with you. They don't see people wanting to see more of what you're doing. You know what I mean? So there are a lot of people who may not have as much talent that you do, but they spend more time showing whatever it is that they got on a consistent basis. So you know, people just don't know that you're talented if they don't see it.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what
crazy.
I mean? So,
I mean, it's a new world now.
it is very much so, and I'm adapting. I still have yet to take a selfie, so I'm still trying to figure it out. But I think
I'm
the
not a
key
good selfie
is,
taker either.
yeah, this face. No, we not good with the selfie situation. But I just think that regardless of what it is you're putting out, as long as you do it consistently, because it's about finding more people who are just like you at whatever stage you are in whatever it is that you're doing. Even if you're just starting, you'll find a tribe of people who are just starting just like you and appreciate that growth together. There's always people who are going to appreciate what you're doing, but to find them, you have to show yourself. It's like me, single and mad that I'm single, but I never go out. I'm not going to the club. So who's going to find me in my living room or in my office? I mean, it's the same thing. There's so many talented people out there, but they're unwilling to show themselves on a consistent enough basis so more people know who they are and want to, you know, use their services. Yeah.
Now, as a creative, do you have both the business mind and the creative mind, or are you a half and half? Are you a full creative? And because I'm a full creative. I'm not business savvy at all. I'm just like, you just tell me where to be at, and I can do whatever you want me to do.
Yes, so funny. I would say I'm a half and half. I think in the beginning I started out more business and less creative because I really didn't have the talent and I was scared a lot. I think my creativity evolved. I had the creative bug inside of me, but I had a lot of fear. So it was more about business and bringing in the creative. But I think my creativity has evolved over time, and so it's a good balance for sure.
Now I know you are a teacher and you like to teach, but are you still a student? Are you forever learning?
Oh, always. Anytime, like I'm in everybody's class, I'm watching everybody's stories on social, especially when I travel, like just seeing how other people use makeup, how they do makeup, even watching the students in my class, like in my classes, like I learn from everyone. So I'm forever a student, absolutely. Because it's really easy to get stuck in a rut. When you see the same things over and over again, it's impossible for you to expand. So you need other things, other people, or just other experiences, even if you're not seeing other people work, just being a student of nature or just being a student of art in general, being a student of travel and just understanding culturally how other people experience in the world, it just inspires you to do more. You know what I mean? So I think we have to always stay open and be a student forever and ever and ever.
Now I know you said you started late, so you started at 30. So are you a self-taught makeup artist?
Yes, for sure. In my basement with no makeup, just visualizing, creative visualization, because we had no money to buy products. So literally it was just like studying other people's work. And that's why I was like so enamored by people like Sam Fine, because like his work just takes your breath away. Or the Kevin Aquans of the world, you see it and you're like, what is it that I love about it? And you kind of internalize that. So in the beginning, I really didn't have a lot of makeup. I wasn't even really doing my own makeup, really. Like my big thing was blue eyeliner, party time blue eyeliner. Like I wasn't even a makeup girl, but I was so inspired watching other people do it and just seeing like those transformations. Like it really just rang all my bells. So I was just committed to figuring it out, you know.
We got a question popped up in here. I'll be forgetting to look at these questions, child, because I've been talking so much. They want to know how do you find the self-discipline to stay consistent? Like, what are your tips? Or do you have any tips for that?
Yeah, I think it's very challenging, but I think a lot of times we don't schedule the things that are important. Like some of the things that I do is you just have to prioritize. So every day I prioritize like at least 15 minutes of meditation, like at least 15 minutes of journaling. You know, I try my best to get in 30 minutes of exercise. That has been wavering a little bit, but it's like you have to do everything like it's a job because everything is important. What I realized is that balance is the key to it all, right? So as an example, I used to work out 3 hours a day and it was so like, oh, into my fitness, but everything else in my world was falling apart. So,
you had to find the balance.
you know, so my body doesn't exactly look how it looked a few years ago, but it's okay because I have the balance of other things, you know, because I know you need a certain, you have to take care of you internally and mentally in order to perform in this job on a daily basis or in your vision every day, you know, because you may physically want to do something, but your mental feels so defeated, or, you know, the idea of possibility has left you. So you need to kind of balance all of those things. So for me, I have to constantly remind myself, and I have to schedule it in. I have to schedule waking up an hour earlier so I can do these other things. It's just part of it. Because I know if I miss any one of those things, something else is going to miss. It's always about balancing everything and not doing too much of anything.
So journaling for you, journaling and meditation is what helps keep your mental together.
Yeah, like I find that even if it's just in transit, like I'm listening to podcasts, and this is in and outside of the industry, just you have to feed your mind really good mental food, feed your body really good food in order to be able to do the things that you want to do, the hard work, like running a business, showing yourself on social media. Like that stuff is hard. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of mental stamina. So if you're not working on everything all the time, it just doesn't work. Eventually it breaks down. So I think it's just scheduling it. A lot of times we just wake up and it's the next day. We just hitting the snooze and we're jumping out of bed and letting the day take us, you know, as opposed to like taking hold of the day and kind of deciding how you want your day to go, deciding how you want to feel throughout the day, setting an expectation for what you want to accomplish for the day. It's like, and that just takes practice because it's not what we do normally. You know what I mean? We get in our car and somebody honks, pisses us off, and then we spiral that throughout our day. But we can make different decisions in the morning on how we want our day to go, and it kind of changes everything. So I think it is practice. And if you're not doing it every day, it's really easy for it to get away from you. So, and the only way to get better and to like really stay in practice is to do it all the time. So I think the easiest thing to do is do it in little bits. That's why I just take like, all right, I can do 10 minutes. I can do 15 minutes, and I take small bites. And then you'll realize those 10 minutes feel really good. And then you could bite off a little more, you know, it becomes more and more part of your routine. But I think just making sure to create space for all of those things, that balance is really important. Or else it's really hard to maintain, because running a business is hard. Maintaining your career is hard. It's all hard work, but it's not impossible. It's all very possible if we take care of ourselves.
And so we don't do.
As creatives, a lot of us, we just don't do that. We don't. And I have to remind myself every day. Yeah.
Now, are you okay with, has your goal, not goal, I'm trying to think of the right way to answer this, but are you okay with being behind the scenes? Like, you like,
yeah, I think people who know me know I'm actually very shy. I'm very much an introvert. I just love what I do so much. I'm willing to sacrifice, you know, feeling uncomfortable because I just enjoy it so much. But I'm a natural introvert. I just, you know, what I've learned is to not rely on accolades from anyone else. I just kind of like stay in competition with myself. And I just think that's what makes it comfortable for me. It makes it fun for me. You know what I mean? So I don't need to be in the spotlight. But if I say I want to make a palette that does this and then it happens, like that feels really, really good. And it's enough for me. You know what I mean?
I mean, because so many people get caught up in what's happening to you. And so, so they'll get caught up into that space and they think that that's where the space is supposed to be, and they forget about the other stuff. But you stay very consistent in this is what my lane is, and this is what I do.
Yeah, I feel very comfortable there.
So, what advice would you give that freelance, that creative? What advice would you give them for just they're ready to take the next step and make that next move? What advice would you give for them?
I think one of the important things for me was, I think you first have to figure out what it is that you want. I think as creatives, as entrepreneurs, we tend to always look from side to side. We're always looking at what's that person's doing, what's that person doing. Oh, this one's moving faster, or this one started doing it. So we get so distracted, we never can move forward. So I think kind of putting your blinders on, just not looking from side to side and staying focused on what you want. But a lot of us never take the time to just write down, okay, what is it that we want? We're just kind of doing stuff. So I think the key thing is to, like, everyone should just have an understanding of what their reason why is. You know, what their reason why is and what is it ultimately that they're trying to create. And then you're just constantly asking yourself, if this opportunity comes up, is this moving me closer to what I want or further away from what I want? Is it in the direction of what I want? I know for me early in my career, it's like every job, okay, I got to take it. Somebody wants to pay me, I got to take it. But it never works that way. And I was doing that because I really wasn't clear on ultimately what I was trying to create, right? But once I figured out what it is that I wanted and somebody's dangling this here, like, if it's not what I'm moving to, it doesn't even matter to me. It doesn't matter how much it's paying. It doesn't matter what the celebrity, it doesn't matter because it's only a distraction from where I'm going. So I think defining what you want is like the most important part, because it's easy to ask yourself those questions. Is this bringing me closer or further away? Is this in the direction that I'm going or not? You know what I mean? So we have to create our own GPS, you know? And most of us don't take the time to do that. And I know for me, I'm constantly refining it because it's always changing. But it's easy for me to make decisions now because I'm very clear on what I'm trying to create.
Now, this is the last question, but this is a very important question that a lot of us that we don't talk about as creatives, especially as Black creatives. And the thing is that retirement, saving, what does that, because none of us, we all get into this industry and we all just start making a bunch of money, and but none of us ever talk to each other about, you should save some money. This is what your time is supposed to look like. This is how this works. No, we never have this conversation. So I don't know how you answer this. If you've been asked that question or how you answer it, but
it's fair. We get it honest because we don't grow up with people who have done that to teach us, right? You know, in other cultures, like culturally, it's something that it's a part of the culture. It's something that they do. So if you look at like the Jewish communities, it's just part of the culture. But you know, no one in our history has taken the time to cultivate the financial, our financial wealth and our financial future. Right? So you need more people having those conversations. But because we know how important it is, if we just look back at our parents and our grandparents and see what they're living off of, their Social Security check or the 401k where they still can't even pay their mortgage, and that's enough for us to know, right? So it's really, we have to take the responsibility to do it. We have to take responsibility. I know for me, you know, my accountant saved my life. And he was just like, okay, if I don't care if you're making $5, a percentage of it has to go away. And honestly, he actually started a 401k for me without me even knowing. And he was siphoning money and putting it in there without me even knowing. I mean, and he did that purposely to get me to understand, like, you did not even miss that. Like, you didn't miss it. But you're building for your future. And I think if you understand that the average adult, to maintain your lifestyle, you know, as an elderly person, you would need $1.5 million in the bank right now today in this day and age to be able just to live and maintain your current lifestyle without working. And I don't know anybody around me who can say that they have that. So understanding investing is super, super important. And it's okay. I had no desire to know these things. I hate math. I don't want to count anything. I just want to make things, right? But then you have to surround yourself with people who do know and who you can learn from, who will help and support you. So I found somebody early on that, you know, put me on that journey. And even now, my children both have investments and they are learning, you know, you have to put it aside. My son is learning the trade. It's it's a necessary, it should be part of our regular vocabulary as adults. You know, but I think sometimes, again, that's what happens looking from side to side, because there's so much influx on TV and people flashing, you know, Gucci bags and driving this car and all of these status things. And we feel like that's where our money needs to go so that people can say we've arrived or we're successful. But none of that means anything. I read this book called The Millionaire Next Door. I recommend that to everyone. Because it talks about this. There are people who you meet then you never see them with anything designer. They're wearing t-shirts and jeans, but they have millions of dollars, put in the bank. They don't look to the eye like somebody who is wealthy, but they actually are, because they're doing all those things. Like the flashy things aren't important, and you don't start buying those flashy things until that becomes extra.
Right.
So, and it's just a mentality. I think culturally, we're that opportunity, those examples haven't been placed in front of us, but because we know, we have to just do better. Because if we don't do better, then what's the next generation going to do?
That is true. So. Jay Danelle, who's a makeup artist I get to work with a lot, she's been on my case about it. She's like, you spend too much money. Stop spending money. Did you save some money? Do this, do that. I'm like, okay.
It's important. I think, this pandemic has taught everybody that lesson.
Oh, girl, wait.
Because a lot of creatives live from week to week, from job to job. And then when all of that stops and there's nothing, there's no savings, there's no investment building, then you start really rethinking and re-strategizing, like, okay, I'm going to have to do better. So I think this pause was good for everybody, because it kind of really changed, how we think about things.
When everything stopped too, and I like to speak freely about stuff because I like people to learn. And when everything stopped, I probably had like I buy a lot of art, so my money is in art stuff. But like liquid cash, I had like $10,000. I was like, wait,
how long was that? Yeah.
What am I supposed to do?
Trust me. Trust me.
I was like, wait a minute. Wait, we're gonna be off work how long?
Exactly.
So
I did the same thing. I was like, I got a few months that I'm gonna make it, and then what? So yeah, I definitely have re-strategized for sure. Yeah. So
but thank you for being honest with that conversation, because I know people in our positions, we have to give the air that everything is all good. And and when this all went down, like even when this all was down, I was struggling with applying for unemployment. I was like, I can't be on unemployment. And man, I talked to Oscar James. He said, nigga, if you don't apply for unemployment, what is wrong with you?
Yes. I know people who are on unemployment and food stamps and every possible thing that they yes. They made it available, so you make use of it. And you learn immediately.
It was a learning experience, and it was and you have to also set the pride aside and say, hey,
absolutely,
I need help. I don't know what's going on. And from a financial standpoint, for you guys that's listening, if you don't understand it, you have to say, hey, I need help. This is what I got, and I want to make this more. So what do I need to do?
Absolutely.
So, yes. But Vanessa, I love you so much. I
love you too. Thank you so much.
we need to see, once it's all over, I need to see you and give you a hug.
Yes,
I'm so proud of you. Before we even go there, which one of them oils? Because I got the one with the bronze on there. And I didn't realize that it was like makeup for real. Like, I just want to go with the gold flakes in it.
Okay, you're gonna need the original. Just send me your address.
Okay. I was like, girl, I would have hugged somebody. I said, oh shit, I'm so sorry.
I got you. Just shoot me your information. I got you.
But thank you so much, Danessa.
Thank
I love
you. It was such a pleasure, and thank you to everybody who hung out with us, during this time. I appreciate you. Love you much.
Talk to you later, babe. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Danessa Myricks. I love all these honest conversations that's full of love. I love it. Tomorrow, I have my other sister in makeup, Latasha Wright, will be here tomorrow. I have a really good week. I have Latasha Wright that's going to be here tomorrow. I have Jane, I cannot say her last name, but she's from the Virgin Hair Fantasy, Jane the Wig Maker. I have Demi Dixon that's coming on Friday. And Thursday, who did I book for Thursday? Oh, Marcia Hamilton. I have Marcia Hamilton on here on Thursday. So I have a really, really good week. Girl, Jamaica, the salon is open, girl. All you got to do is call, Jamaica. The salon is open. But yes, I have a very good week this week. But tomorrow we have Latasha Wright with the right look. That's gonna be talking about, and she knows about some money too. So I'm gonna got some money questions for her. But I will see you guys tomorrow on Tuesday with Latasha Wright. Talk to you later.